Boom. What is going on? This is ShanGO Ray, aka Real Deal Ray. We have returned with another video, and as I mentioned in a interview that I did recently, I've been getting a lot of questions, and the theme of "Am I cursed?" has been very prevalent with me. I feel like Spirit is also leading me down a path of being able to help individuals, maybe possibly such as yourself, if you are suffering from a magical curse. So in this video, we're going to break down what is a curse. We're going to break down the 3 categories of curse, okay? Not how many different kinds of curses, because there's thousands of different kinds of curses, but the 3 main categories of curse. And finally, you're going to be able to take our curse assessment, and you really want to look for clusters of these signs, okay, as to whether you are. And there's 13 of them that we have compiled here, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we begin, like, share, subscribe, and thrive. Of course, like, share, subscribe, and thrive. And if we forgot to mention, like, share, subscribe, and thrive, all right? In that order. Blip! All right? So first of all, let me get my notes. What is a curse? Now, this is not the Oxford Dictionary definition, but I'm sure you'll see it. It kind of goes, all right? A version of a spell or intention created spontaneously or methodically, in other words, magically, ritual-wise, with exceptionally malevolent and ill intention. Let's go over that real fast. A version of a spell or intention created spontaneously. Many times curses can be created based off of someone who's maybe in a very volatile emotional state, such as anger, jealousy, bitterness, hatred, whatever. I curse you, or whatever, many curses have been and will be and continue to be created in that fashion. Sometimes even between loved ones, husband and wife, family members, in those peak moments of anger, we often do say and project things which we may later learn to, or later end up regretting, okay? The other way, of course, is methodically. What I'm actually referring to methodically is ritual magic, okay? When you're actually taking time out of your day to gather implements, or, setting aside a certain amount of time in which you are going to project this ill intention on somebody, okay? The other definition that is more colloquial as far as in ShanGO language is patterned energy created and projected to fuck shit up, okay? So what do I mean by patterned energy? Well, since everything is energy, and energy is basically, at its very root, is also programmable, okay? So think in terms of a computer program. A computer program will continue to fulfill its function and recreate after its own, whatever the pattern is, okay? So much in the same way, a curse can be also viewed as patterned energy, okay? The same way a blessing is also pattern energy. It's just, what is the pattern for? All right. So that's my Shangorian definition of what a pattern, pattern energy created and projected to fuck shit up. That's a curse. Okay. Now, a curse can affect a person, a location, or an object. We've all heard of cursed rings and things that belong to a cursed person, or a person who did curse something, from the pharaohs all the way to just regular people, cursed locations, houses, cars even, you name it. And of course, people. All right. So the way I have it here, and this is based off my own research, experience, what I've experienced myself in my own life, and what I've seen others go through in regards to a curse. Okay, so we got the three categories of curse. Now, as I've said before, this doesn't mean there's only three kinds of curse. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of kinds of curses in all forms, shapes, and sizes. But I have narrowed them down to three categories. They are these: the generational curse. Okay, a curse that maybe either you have incurred from one of your earlier incarnations, or that an ancestor has incurred before you, and it has continued to pass down in several different ways. The DC, okay, the direct curse, DMs, right? Well, this is the DC, the direct curse, when somebody directly curse you in this incarnation. And number three, and this is the most prevalent, and I feel probably one of the most powerful here, is the self curse. All of us have cursed ourselves in some form or fashion at some time. Many of us continue to do so. Now, the thing about this, yes, there are three rudimentary categories for this, but it is possible for one to have all three of these or experience a combination of both. There's an old saying that, I'm trying to find it, but I didn't write it on this paper. Basically, one who believes that they are cursed tends to act like they are cursed. And that is a perfect example to me, in my opinion, of a self-curse. So in this example, let's say you have been told, remember your grandma tells you, hey, your great-great-great-great-grandpa was in this situation and they got cursed, and then it spread to this person and they had this situation and then it spread to that. And, it might be coming for you too, so look out. Curses can be spread that way. Generational curses can also be spread in another way. Let me break it down for you. Let's say a few generations back, the woman lives with a man, he's abusive, he goes out and cheats, gets drunk all the time, and she has a daughter. The daughter grows up seeing that this is how life is for a woman and continues the cycle. You get where I'm going with this, right? And then it comes all the way down to this generation here and now. Let's just say with you, whether you're a woman or a man, whatever, but you see your parent or whatever going through something, whether it's in a relationship, maybe it's in relation to money, okay? Because poverty is a very major generational curse passed down. And what we start doing, whether it's a generational curse, whether it's somebody here in your reality who you know of or that you don't know of, who does not like you, who has sent some pattern energy your way to fuck shit up. And then, of course, there's the self-curse. Now, the thing about a curse is, generally, the curse usually, I won't even say usually, let me rephrase that. It is said that a curse would die out when the person who casted the curse dies. Okay? But a curse, like any other patterned energy, usually, in my experience and in my research has shown, usually becomes objectified and personified almost as if it's created into its own person or own spirit form. Usually a curse will also do that. And as such, let me give you an example of a thought form that, let's just say I'm unlucky in love. I'm always broke, things never go my way, or I'm like I almost get it, and then usually always something happens, right? Whether you verbalize that or just think that and really feel that that is true for yourself, okay? What this ends up happening is you do create a thought form in the astral realm that will follow your ass around, and it feeds off of what its pattern is. So if unlucky in love or being broke or always having health problems is what you're always or cyclically experiencing, that thought form gets to eat. Now, when it gets dangerous is when that thought form because it'll try and attach itself to your self-identity. It hides that way. So that way you get to think that you're just this type of person who doesn't get this, or who this always happens to, or so forth. You see, that is the most powerful place that a curse can take a hold, is within your identity. Now, of course, with generational curses, there's also, medical conditions, certain types of mental imbalances, chemical imbalances that are often passed, you will know, through generations. Sometimes they skip a generation or whatever. Those can be a form of a generational curse, because the curse manifested in such a way, whether as, bipolar or whatever it is. I do want to note also, it's very important before you go slapping labels on yourself, because this society is conditioned to take whatever you say is going on, make a label for it so they can make a pill for it, and keep you on a pill that will never heal you, will just keep the Band-Aid on whatever the problem is. Okay, so I just wanted to say that little caveat also. Yeah, so we just covered as far as often a curse is objectified or personified as a person. Think about it, even if there's a family tales or lore of some curse, it's almost as if the curse becomes its own person, its own little star of its own show. And meanwhile, they're trying to put that show into your life now. So it's important. That's why it's very important also to, make sure we stay tapped in, monitoring our thoughts as much as possible to see which ones are ours, which ones have been passed to us. So these are just some ways in which generational curses can also be passed down. And like I said, the direct curse, whether you know it or not, whether the person makes it known to you that they have cursed you actively with magic, and it doesn't have to be lighting candles or anything. It can just be them sitting there feeling very contemptuous towards you and basically just projecting that energy onto you, maybe into you, depending, okay? Then, of course, like I said, the worst one is the self-curse, okay? I was having this conversation yesterday about, the aura and keeping your aura nice and tight and clean. And yes, your aura does get soiled from outside environment, outside people. But the main source of soiling is you from the inside, and just like with a curse, we are the ones who keep the shit going, and this is not about blame. It's just being aware of how these things work. All right. So now we're going to get into a very important part of this video. As I promised, this is the curse assessment. That I've told you about. I'm going to give you 13 different indications that you're working with a curse, that you are indeed cursed, whether it's generational, whether it's direct, or whether it's self-curse, or a combination of all three of these. I want to say before I start this curse assessment, it's important. I didn't want to, I kind of hesitated on doing this because the last thing I want to do is create curse hypochondriacs, okay? They hear one thing that may indicate that they're cursed and they go and run with that. I'm cursed, And the important thing to look for with this curse assessment is you want to look for clusters. And what I mean by that is if you have 1, 2, 3, I would even say 4 of these indications that I'm about to list out for you. If you got 4, I would say it's definitely worth investigating more, to make it a priority to investigate more to see, okay? If you have 5, 6, or 7, you're definitely, in my personal opinion, more than likely, 99%, got some shit going on as far as a curse goes, all right? So keep that in mind. So if you hear 1 or 2 and you got, because each one of these in and of itself can just be something in and of itself, all right? But when you start looking at it in terms of patterns and clusters, also I wanted to state time frame, okay? Maybe you're having a bad week. Maybe you even had a bad month. that doesn't necessarily mean you're cursed. Now, if you've had a bad 90 days, a bad year, 2, 3, 4 years, okay, that's a little bit ridiculous now. That's indicating also something. So usually curses are, anywhere from 90 days to a year or more of fucreciousness, all right? So you want to also consider that too, the timing aspect. As I mentioned, anybody can have a bad week or even a kind of shitty month. Doesn't mean you're cursed, okay? So that's another factor to throw into that. All right, so let's get in to your curse assessment. Now, please, if you need to, grab a pencil, grab a paper, and be sure that you can write these down, so that way you can run this test on yourself, or at least write them down so you can have time to sit with yourself in silence and actually think about these things, okay? Number 1, major losses, one after another. Now, these major losses are anything that's going to shake up your foundation, really get you in a fucked up state. So these major losses can take the shape of relationships, either through death, divorce, or desertion. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory, but if they happen kind of consistently, all right, the other thing that I wanted to add before I go on any more of this is, one thing you definitely also want to look for as far as with curses go. I noticed that a lot of them are, they tend to manifest after a while, cyclically, all right? It may not be just straight constant for, months and months and months and maybe even years and years, although it's a good chance it could. But a lot of times the main area in your life in which you are manifesting the effects, which would make you feel like you're cursed, they seem to happen cyclically. So you might have a bad 2-3 years, and maybe shit kind of clears up for a year and a half, and then it's back again. Or it might even clear up. I've heard of things clearing up for almost as much as 10 years, and then the same problem comes back, okay? Basically the same problem, if you will. Maybe dressed in a little slightly variation of different clothes, but it's the same thing. So that's another thing I needed to add to that too. Okay, so major losses. Number 1, major losses. And under that, major losses, yes, relationships. Relationships are one of the most important things that we have here as pretending human beings, death, relationships, losing relationships, whether through death, divorce, or desertion. Death, obviously somebody dies. Divorce, somebody just doesn't want to be with you. And desertion, they just flat out disappear on you, okay, after so long, all right? B, sudden and big, and also maybe possibly reoccurring financial losses. You're taking 2 steps forward and taking 4, 5, 6 back financially. You keep taking financial hits. Your car fucks up. Something's wrong with your home or your house that costs you money, okay? You have some type of unexpected tax problem, and now they're garnishing. Your account gets locked down. Somebody from across the world says that you're the father of their child or something, or whatever. I mean, it just goes on and on. You get this stuff, all right? The other way that you can experience major losses is either through property or opportunities, okay? What do I mean by that? Property, obviously, your home, your car, maybe some particular object that really meant a lot to you, that was maybe given to you, or whatever the case may be, all of a sudden gone, or it's destroyed, or it's lost, okay? Same thing with an opportunity. Maybe you finally get an opportunity that this is going to propel me to get ahead, and then boom, out of nowhere, something happens, one little thing happens, and now it's up in smoke. It's gone, all right? Number 2, repetitive injuries or illness / health problems, okay? This now in and of itself can just be more on the medical side. Of course, we all know though that the mind is everything, and the mind does influence everything. Whether you are aware of it, in other words, whether it's conscious or whether it's unconscious, majority is going to be unconscious anyway. Whatever is unconscious in your unconscious mind, you're going to call it fate. That's what they say. That's the famous saying, but it's so true because you're not aware of it. Your unconscious mind really basically dictates and runs the day-to-day shit for you and is the actual creative faculty. Your conscious just decides what it wants to create. All right. So with respect to injuries, illness, or health problems, if you have repetitive injuries or health problems, especially if they just kind of started suddenly, that's definitely one to look for. Okay. Number 3, constant, persisting, extreme fatigue. This is a big one. Okay. A lot of times, it doesn't matter what kind of curse is thrown at you or how it's designed to fuck you up. One definite thing that it wants to do is also feed off your energy, vamp your energy. Whoever is cursing you, you best believe they also want you physically drained. I'm talking about it's a struggle to get out of bed. It's, and along with this, you can actually even add in like depression and or anxiety. These mental states often go hand in hand and they're kissing cousins with this constant extreme fatigue. Your energy is just zapped. Things you used to do that you love to do, you no longer do anymore because you have no more energy. It's almost as if the zest for life, that candle, that flame that you had for life is snuffed out. Okay. Number 4, major miscommunications, major miscommunicado. All right. Distance in what is usually close relationships. This is kind of self-explanatory, but let me just basically touch on this, okay? If your relationship has been basically pretty solid, especially a solid relationship is going to be based on solid communication. But if all of a sudden you're in this space where it seems like no matter what you say, it just comes out the wrong way. I don't know. It comes out your mouth one way and goes in their fucking ear another way. And it's like, what the hell are you hearing? And vice versa. Forgetting certain things, all the time, all that. And to whereas you may even start to feel like where we were once super tight, I'm starting to feel like there's a little wedge now in between us. Now, the other thing to add to this is usually a curse is going to start to affect multiple relationships in your life. These are multiple relationships that are foundational for you or that mean a lot to you, that feed you, that you are able to feed. It's reciprocal, whether it's between you and your lover, you and a parent, or you and your child, or another family member. You will notice miscommunications and seemingly distant. Sometimes another key to this is also someone who was your friend for so long, all of a sudden now seems to stop liking you, or they seem to have a problem with you, or you just sense a little disturbance in the force in the air here. Okay, you know what I mean? So that's the other one. Number 5, accidents. Automobile accidents. I was going down the stairs that I've gone down a billion times, and all of a sudden now, boom, I don't even know why I lost my balance. Next thing you know, I'm on the ground and my ankle's swollen and I'm fucking in pain or something. Whatever the case is, accidents. Okay. Number 6, sudden pain or illness with no known cause. All right. Now this can go with number 2, repetitive injuries and illness or health problems. But I decided to make it its own category for the sake of this, because sometimes when, especially dealing with direct curses, you will find that that's one indication that some shit's going on or somebody's working on your ass, because you all of a sudden feel sudden, pain or illness with no known cause. So all of a sudden something starts hurting. You eventually get your ass to the doctor, but they can't find any reason why you're having these symptoms. Okay, that's another key to look out for. Number 7, important shit gets lost or disappears. I would say this is another one. You'll usually find these when someone really wants to either cross you up or shut your roads down. Okay, for example, you get robbed or somebody breaks into your car, steals your bag, which has your wallet, your ID, all this other things. As you know, in this society, it is hard to do anything without an ID. So losing that ID or that important piece of paper for whatever it is that you're doing, perhaps maybe it's even an email or something like that, where all of a sudden now you just cannot find where the hell this thing went. Anything, whatever it is, anything important that you need, okay, especially you may need to get to the next level, or something that if it's gone, it's definitely going to block you, it's going to hinder you, it's going to slow you down, it's going to frustrate you, okay? So that's number 7. Number 8, shadow people out the corner of your eyes, sleep paralysis, and an incessant feeling like I'm being watched, right? Am I going crazy? Almost a sense of paranoia with that too. Now, I have noticed that the shadow people and the sleep paralysis often, not all the time, but often can go together. So that's another sign that you definitely want to put a check mark if you have been experiencing that for a certain amount of time. Number 9, major drawn out blockages. This one in and of itself can definitely go a bunch of different ways. But when you put it in the cluster, like I said, if you have 5, 6, or 7 of these, you definitely probably want to contact somebody who can assist you or look into really aggressive curse removal. All right. Major drawn out blockages. I'm going to use the example of someone who has been looking for work. Okay. Usually it doesn't take somebody 6 months to a year to find a job. But if this person is actually every day looking, and just for whatever reason, I might get close, but then it's out of my hands, or it slips through my fingers, or something happens and it's been already 6 months and I just cannot get a job or something. You know what I mean? That's just an example. But that is an example of also a major drawn out blockage. Like something that shouldn't be so goddamn hard is for you or whoever is affected, right? So that's another key to consider up in there too. A major drawn out blockages. Number 10, you get an OONI, an OONI, an out of nowhere intuition, okay? An out of nowhere intuitive thought. Hey, yo, am I cursed? Yo, am I cursed? First off, that is not a regular thought that the average person would have, okay? So especially if you haven't been watching a bunch of things about being cursed, feeding your mind about the possibility of you being cursed, and, maybe you're going through whatever it is you're going through, and all of a sudden your subconscious mind sends something to the front that says, hey, yo, I think we might be cursed, or we are cursed. Someone's working on us. Or maybe it's a combination, like I said, but whatever the case is, there's a curse involved here, okay? Like I said, if that comes out of nowhere, maybe you're taking a shower, washing the dishes, all of a sudden, boom, yo, something's going on here, all right? And especially if you can't seem to shake it, also, clear indication that's your unconscious, also probably your guides, whoever, your ancestors also too, could be saying, yo, we need to address this. The reason why you keep feeling that shit is because it's kind of like the oil light or the check engine light on your engine coming on. It's not designed to scare you or upset you. It's just letting you know, hey, yo, there's a situation we need to deal with here, okay? Number 11. This would be more relating to a DC, a direct curse. Missing photos or personal items such as underwear, maybe a toothbrush, your razor, something like that. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you can't find it, and maybe you just had a fight a week or two ago with your roommate or somebody, or whoever, with your husband, wife, roommate, whatever. And all of a sudden now there's missing photos, especially a photo such as like a Polaroid or more of an analog photo. Analog photos definitely seem to capture, even if just a small piece, but a small piece of your auric field, which is also what helps to create the photo, I guess you could say. Looking at it from another way, of course, I mean, if you want to get strictly scientific, like, where does the aura come in? here to make a photo, but you get what I'm saying as far as this goes. Number 12, strange objects or substances, primarily powders or liquids, on or around your environment. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory in my opinion. If you find some weird bag, something that looked like someone dropped it either on your property or in your room if you rent a room, or just in your environment, or a strange liquid or a strange powder that it's just like, where did this come from? Your intuition is probably going to start screaming on you, especially if you have any inkling of how magic works and stuff like that. Those are going to be, red flags. Those are the most also obvious. I would like to also add a subcategory to that, okay? If you find that you got plants or something, and a lot of times the plants just seem to keep dying around you, there is a chance, because a lot of times when someone's going to bury something on your property or something, they're going to bury it around some plants or something, and in that case, whether it's buried right with the plants or whether it's just kind of buried around or close to it, plants are very, very sensitive to energy, and they are not able to defend their personal little auras. So a lot of times they'll just take them shots. You'll start to see them die. You'll start to see animals start to acting funny, shit like that. 13, amulets and or crystals break or disappear. Oh, excuse me. It's telling me my battery is low. Okay. This is a big one too. Okay. A lot of times, for example, this is not an amulet as far as for protection, right? But let's say you got something like this, or a lot of times, I've had a lot of times where I went through times where there was definitely a curse, being cursed, feeling the effects of that curse. A lot of times taking shots, my necklaces would just snap, just break for no fucking reason. I wasn't even doing anything near. All of a sudden, it's just, I'm sitting there and then just, I hear the beads bouncing all over the floor. You know what I'm saying? Same here. Okay. A lot of times, stones, crystals just get bumped off. Boom, boom, boom. So it's like, yo, I'm taking shots, man. My eyes taking shots, fuck y'all, okay? Because usually when it comes to an amulet or something, it's advisable not, depending on what kind it is, and, there's variables on that. You want to just start anew, get a new one. You don't necessarily want to rebuild it, okay? Now, in and of itself, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're cursed, like I said. But if you mix this with another 5 of these indications, now we're cooking with something, all right? So now you definitely want to contact somebody that you trust, somebody that you know who can help you and assist you, okay? I have another video as far as what to do if you are cursed. But first, I knew this was going to be long. I didn't want to put too much information on you. This is already enough. We're going to be back tomorrow with the what to do if this is your shoe, okay? If this fits, if the shoe fits, wear it. If you know you rocking with some fucked up shit right now, it is what it is. You kind of have to admit it, so that way you could do something about it, okay? Conversely, on the other side, what we don't want to do is we don't want to make ourselves believe that we're cursed. Like I said, there are people out there who are spiritual hypochondriacs too, and the first thing they want to jump to is, somebody's cursing me, somebody's working with me. And many, many, many times, let me just say this, that's not the case. If anything, you are cursing yourself by thinking that shit, okay? So having said all of that, we're going to conclude this video. Let me just do a quick recap. The 13-step curse assessment. Number 1, major losses, one after another, relationships, death, divorce, desertion, financial loss, property, opportunities. Number 2, repetitive injuries or illness and health problems. Number 3, constant, persisting, extreme fatigue. Number 4, major miscommunications, distance in usually close relationships. Number 5, accidents, whether auto, physical, crazy, weird flukes. Number 6, sudden pain or illness with no known cause. Number 7, important shit gets lost or disappears. Number 8, shadow people out the corner of your eyes, weird orbs, sleep paralysis, and or this incessant, dreadful feeling of being watched. Number 9, major drawn out blockages. This shit should not be this fucking hard. Why is it? Number 10, out of nowhere intuition. You come up with this thought, yo, am I cursed? Or something just says something's going on, you know. Number 11, missing photos or personal items, such as underwear, razors, any type of worn clothing. Number 12, strange objects or substances, usually powders or liquids, found on or around your environment. And finally, number 13, amulets / or crystals that break and or just entirely disappear. All of a sudden, it's just gone. I usually set my shit right here and it's gone. It just literally disappeared. I've had several clients who I've made protective amulets for and things. Now, I want to say this one more on this last one. Sometimes the crystal or the amulet will disappear because it's no longer needed. And that's why I say you have to juxtapose and you got to compile and take this curse assessment serious and see which ones actually apply to you. Don't try and make them apply to you, okay? If it's outlandishly obvious that it applies to you, then of course write it down. And if you have 5 or more, you're more than likely 95 to 99% chance working with some form of a curse on you, okay? But amulets and crystals will break or disappear sometimes when their job is done. You know, a lot of times they won't necessarily break, but I've had crystals that just, they served me for a while. I had a great relationship with it. I thought we was cool. And then all of a sudden they disappear. Well, I guess they came to do what they came to do and now they're gone, you know. But in the context of a curse, they will either break or disappear, whether that's an amulet or a crystal. So that's all for now. We will be back tomorrow, like I said, with the what you gonna do about it now, huh? You gonna continue to live this way? Huh? If your spells, if your intentions, if your vision boards, if your law of attractions, if your relationships aren't going the way, it just seems impossible to get yourself to get down that road to actually get what it is that you desire, then a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, there is curse work involved. There are things, forces, unseen, blocking your ass, whether it's generational, whether it's direct, whether it's your own self predominantly cursing yourself, or whether it's a mixture of a couple of these, okay? So check back with us. You're going to want to get this information, all right? Peace and blessings.